Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Don't wanna be an American idiot. Don't want a nation under the new media.
Now, in less than 2 hours, Donald Trump will take part in the latest US Republican presidential TV debate in Las Vegas. Other candidates will, of course, be there, but in truth, the debate in the Republican Party is mainly about Mr. Trump. He continues to flourish in the polls, notwithstanding his controversial proposal that foreign Muslims should be barred from entering the US. He's not the bookie's favourite to be next president, but he is a phenomenon. One of his supporters, possibly even one of his inspirations, is the right-wing polemicist and best-selling author Ann Coulter. She introduced Trump and praised his stance on immigration at a campaign rally in Iowa in August.
Since Donald Trump has announced that he's running for president, I felt like I'm dreaming. I can't believe I turn on TV and primetime TV every night. They're talking about anchor babies. They're talking about sanctuary cities. They're talking about Mexican rapists. They can only win. They're talking about the wall. I love the idea of the Great Wall of Trump.
Well, Ann Coulter, who you heard there, joins us now from Las Vegas, where that debate is soon to be held. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, is it right that Donald Trump took some of his inspiration from you, and you had talked about Mexican rapists before he was talking about them?
Yes, well, I've tried to push the immigration issue on a lot of Republican candidates. A few in particular I had long conversations with. And sent advance copies of my book, Adios America, to. Donald Trump saw me on an interview on Telemundo, Univision, with Jorge Ramos the week before my book came out. I was on my way to the airport in Miami, and I got an email from him asking for an advance copy of my book. He has been good on this issue before, but my book has a lot of startling facts in it, and it is carefully footnoted and documented, and I think it is the first time there was a lot of discussion about a lot of the criminal cultures being launched on our country that the country just has no immunity to. We're used to our criminals being, dumb, killing their spouses for insurance and leaving their DNA all over. A lot of the cultures that are coming into the country have all kinds of different criminal habits, in addition to, child rape, gang rape, massive Medicare frauds, insurance frauds, and we have no immunity to it.
And just tell me this, because I'm interested, have you had contact with European counterparts who think in a similar way to you, the National Front in France, for example? Are you talking to these guys, or are you completely separate worlds?
No, I mean, I guess I wish Europe the best. Used to like to go on vacation there, but I'm an American and I really care about America. And as we're finding out with the candidacy of Donald Trump, so do a lot of Americans.
Right. Now, look, I want to talk about the language and the tone of the campaign. Now, you have used words referring to Muslims or to people of Arab descent like raghead and camel jockey. Is that right?
Well, it was a joke, and it was a funny joke, and people laughed. I think you really have to give the full context of my remarks.
No, but it's interesting that Donald Trump hasn't, I think, used these kinds of terms, has he? He has steered clear. Now, why do you think he doesn't use that language? Why he's short of the tone you would adopt?
No, I think you're wrong. I think we use similar language, and we get attacked in the exact same way, which is completely lifting little snippets out and acting as if it was said with earnest anger, which is why 2 weeks after Trump announced, I brought a couple of my Hollywood friends who were speaking out to a group in LA, and they were very skeptical of him. They walked out of the room saying they laughed more than they do at comedy clubs. He's extremely funny, and when you see these clips of him, or of me, where you're cutting off the laughter, you're cutting off the point, you're cutting off the joke, it's just one of the many ways the media lies.
But look, it's really important, this. I mean, because I think in much of Western society, people would avoid making jokes that use racially disparaging words, wouldn't they? And I'm just wondering whether you think it is acceptable or would be helpful to the Trump campaign if he ramped it up and started using racist language more overtly.
I don't use racist language. Wow, when you have to go back to a CPAC speech from 2006 and take two words from a joke out, it was a joke about political correctness and things going on in the world at that time. And when 10,000 people in the room laugh, it's funny. Right. But look, the point is, what Donald Trump is doing is not only, I mean, the big issue of his campaign is immigration, 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 but a lot of that has to do with, this is always the pushback. We try to talk about what's good for the country, what's good for the people living in the country, and the only response is to hear epithets. You're racist, you're a bigot.
No, well,
Donald
sorry,
Trump is challenging that too.
No, I understand that.
He's challenging that PC regime that people are really fed up with.
No, but I'm getting at a slightly different point, which is whether the tone that you adopt, and which I think he has been slightly less adopting of, whether that tone is helpful to the cause that you're trying to promote. Whether, for example, using terms that disparage people or that are rather, coarse in the way you characterize people, it's whether that makes those people better American citizens and better disposed to you and less happy to think of you getting killed in a terrorist accident, terrorist outrage.
Well,
it's whether these things work or not.
I call it funny. This is the New York Times euphemism for funny is sophomoric. Other people find it funny, and apparently it is a good way to get the message out. And I'm an 11-time New York Times best-selling author and paid a lot to give speeches. People do listen to me. So yeah, of course. I mean, look, Winston Churchill gave speeches. Of course, he was self-promoting. That's how you get yourself heard. And, to be nitpicking a joke from 8 years ago just shows you the pushback whenever we try to talk about immigration, which is driving down wages. I mean, every one of your topics tonight, it is a question of immigration, dumping more and more poor people, needy people, demanding people on the country who sometimes flip out and commit mass murder. Oh, no, but we can't talk about that.
No, I've not said, sorry,
I just
want to be clear. I have not said you can't talk about immigration. I have no way would say that. Look,
but we're talking about my language.
Well, because that was the language that you used, not about the immigration. Let me just ask a different point about Donald Trump, because there's one thing I really don't understand about him, which is the stuff he says about his daughter, Ivanka. Now, maybe you can help me, but it's stuff like this. Yeah, she's really something. What a beauty, that one. If I weren't happily married and, her father, ... Or if she weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her, and references to her in Playboy magazine. What's going on there? What is this guy talking about?
Oh, come on. He's just being funny, saying he has an attractive daughter.
What's more creepy to you?
Again, that's a quote from many years ago.
Maybe I'm just humorless.
He's famous for dating models.
Maybe I'm just humorless.
No, it's self-deprecating.
What do you think is more creepy?
He's famous for dating models. It's self-deprecating. He's saying, I have a beautiful daughter. A lot of fathers say that about their daughters.
Well, you're against gay marriage.
He says it in a funny way.
You're against gay marriage. What do you think is more creepy?
Yes.
Two gay men who loving each other, getting married, or a 69-year-old talking in that way about his own daughter? Which is more creepy?
He's not seriously talking about dating his daughter.
You don't find it creepy?
Oh my gosh, I thought we got our sense of humor from the British. You are being so humorless all of a sudden. This is a self-deprecating thing. Look, he's famous for dating models. He has a wife who's 20 years younger than he is. He says his daughter is pretty. And again, you are nitpicking a joke rather than discussing the important issues of the day, which is Donald Trump is soaring in the polls because he's the only one talking about immigration, something the American people have been asking for 40 years. And you better watch the debate tonight, because after this debate, there's going to be nobody else on stage, and Trump is going to have to start doing card tricks or juggling or something, because they're going to be wiped out.
Ann Coulter, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Criminals know whose house they can home invade when people are there. This is why home invasions are 10 times higher in Britain than they are in this country, because there's no private gun ownership. Why can't we get a record of women who have had abortions? They get money from Planned Parenthood. They get money from Medicare, from Medicaid. Much of this is their tax subsidies. I think, mothers might want to know what other women on their street might be willing to murder a child. I think you're being a misogynist is the least of your problems.
I am not a misogynist.
Let's go straight. I mean, come on. You deny that?
What is the evidence that I am a misogynist?
Every single thing you say about women.
Name one.
Name one. Name
one thing. Because this, I'm seriously, name one thing.
Canada used to be one of our most loyal friends, and vice versa. I mean, Canada sent troops to Vietnam. Was Vietnam less containable and more of a threat
No, actually,
than
Canada
Saddam
did
Hussein?
not send troops to Vietnam.
I don't think that's right.
Canada did not send troops to Vietnam.
Indochina?
No. No. Canada, Second World War, of course. Korea, yes.
I
Vietnam,
think you're wrong.
No, it took a pass on Vietnam.
I think you're wrong.
No, Australia was there, not Canada.
I think Canada sent troops. Well, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Coulter never got back to us.
Welfare will create generations of utterly irresponsible animals.
Yeah. Those people. The poor.
When you walk past a mixed-race couple in New York, and it's like they have a chip on their shoulder, just waiting for somebody to say something as if anybody would.
I don't agree with that. Really.
And
maybe you have the chip looking at them. I see a lot of interracial couples, and I don't see any more or less chips there either way.
No, in fact, there was an entire Seinfeld episode about Elaine and her boyfriend dating because they wanted to be a mixed-race couple. So you're lying.
Oh, because it's in a Seinfeld episode. Okay.
But yeah, I think that's reflective of what's going on in the culture. But what do you think about Libya and Egypt? As long as I have you here.
What about them?
Are you in favor of us intervening in these two countries that didn't hit us on 9/11 solely for purposes of regime change?
Well, first of all, I didn't think we were intervening in Egypt. Are we?
We did.
What'd we do? What'd we do in Egypt?
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
I mean, intervene or military? I mean, there's a difference.
You mean we talked about it?
We talked about it. Okay. Well, we can talk.
Well, we didn't send any troops or anything.
Yeah, we
didn't fly any bombs.
Bombs is something.
We're not dropping bombs
in Egypt.
No, just Libya.
No bombs in Egypt.
Just Libya.
No bombs. No Egypt bombs. No, just Libya. Libya bombs.
Libya bombs, no Egypt.
No Egypt bombs.
Not yet, anyway.
We were threatening to, which is why Mubarak left.
No, we never threatened. No.
No, I think we did.
But you said we should just throw Judaism away and we should all be Christians then. Or,
yeah.
Really?
Well, it's a lot easier. It's kind of a fast track.
Really?
You have to obey.
You can't possibly believe that. You can't possibly. You're too educated. You can't. You like my friend?
Do you know what Christianity is? See, we believe your religion, but you have to obey.
No. But
we have the fast track program.
Sure. We might put you with the head of Iran. I mean, come on. You can't believe that.
The head of Iran is not a Christian.
No,
I don't
but
know if you've been paying attention.
That's why Israel left the earth. I mean, no Jews?
No, we just want Jews to be perfected as they.
What really said you?
Yeah, no, that's what Christianity is. We believe the Old Testament, but ours is more like Federal Express. You have to obey laws.
In my old
we know we're all sinners.
When you say something absurd like that, there's no.
What's absurd?
Jews are going to be perfected. I'm going to go off and try and perfect myself. And Ann Coulter, author of If Democrats Had Any Brains, They'd Be Republicans. And if Ann Coulter had any brains, she would not say Jews need to be perfected. I'm offended by that personally. And when we have more Big Idea when we come back.
Welcome back to the Big Idea Break. Ann said she wanted to explain her last comment, so I'm going to give her a chance. So you don't think that was offensive?
No, I'm sorry. It is not intended to be. I don't think you should take it that way. But that is what Christians consider themselves, perfected Jews. We believe the Old Testament. As you know from the Old Testament, God was constantly getting fed up with humans for not being able to, live up to all of the laws. What Christians believe, this is just a statement of what the New Testament is that that's why Christ came and died for our sins. Christians believe the Old Testament. You don't believe our Testament.
You said your exact words were Jews need to be perfected. Those are words.
No, I'm saying that's what a Christian is.
Don't you see how hateful and anti-Semitic?
No.
And so, how do you not say you're an educated woman?
That isn't hateful at all.
Okay, but that's even a scarier thought. Okay.
No. I don't want you being offended by this. This is what Christians consider themselves because our Testament is the continuation of your Testament. You know that. So we think Jews go to heaven. I mean, Falwell himself said that. But you have to follow laws. Ours is Christ died for our sins. We consider ourselves perfected Christians. For me to say that for you to become a Christian is to become a perfected Christian is not offensive at all.
We will let the audience decide then, won't we? Ann Coulter, new book. More Big Idea, straight ahead.
That Bush ran on, I was in the interview with Ethan Edelman.
Ethan Nadelman.
And Coulter, yes.
You believe everything in the book, or do you put some things in there just to cater to your base?
No, of course I believe everything.
All right. On the 9/11 widows, and in particular a group that had been critical of the administration, these self-obsessed women seem genuinely unaware that 9/11 was an attack on our nation and acted as if the terrorist attack only happened to them. They believe the entire country was required to marinate in their exquisite personal agony. Apparently, denouncing Bush was an important part of their closure process, and this part is the part I really need to talk to you about. These broads are millionaires, lionized on TV and in articles about them, reveling in their status as celebrities and stalked by grieferazzis. I've never seen people enjoying their husband's death so much.
Yes.
Because they dare to speak out?
To speak out using the fact that they're widows.
Ann Coulter, who was supposed to be on the show about an hour and a half ago, is now on the phone as well. Ann?
Hello.
Hi, Ann. You're late, baby doll.
Somebody gave me the wrong number.
How did you get the right number? Just dialed randomly? Eventually you got through to our show?
No, my publicist emailed it to me, I guess, after checking with you. But I am really tight on time right now because I already had it.
All right, well, get lost.
Oh, my God. Did you really just hang up on Ann Coulter?
Listen, you bitch. Don't call in an hour and a half late and tell me you're tight on time. Of course you're tight on time. You're an hour and a half goddamn late calling into the radio show. Just take your crappy book and go pitch it to your stupid cable outlets. We'll do a
gay marriage. Why can't gays get married like straights do?
Well, they can. They have to marry a member of the opposite sex.
Why can't they marry a member of their sex?
No, I think this is another one where you're just sucking up to liberals when there are big fights. We really need to be having in a very
individuals should be left alone.
But my reason, it has nothing to do with libertarians or gays or anything else. Marriage is the most important institution to civilize young people, bring them into. I mean, I want to make divorce a lot more difficult too. Liberals want to destroy. This is an important point, libertarians. You listen to this. Liberals want to destroy the family so that you will have one loyalty, and that is to the government. We ought to look at him as an enemy combatant, and moving him toward a military tribunal.
Yes, a civilian trial for terrorists, not going to work. That's why Tim McVeigh, Ted Kaczynski, Ramsey Youssef, and the Blind Sheik roam our fair country in a bus, going city to city, singing medleys of original hits, and... What's that? Really? The dead are in prison, huh? Well, who am I thinking of? Is it? Oh, the Muppets. Oh, all right.
Should I be converted to Christianity? Second of all, since I don't have a magic carpet, what other roads do you suggest?
This University of Western student read aloud some of Ann Coulter's quotes. The first, that Americans should invade Muslim countries, kill their leaders, and convert them to Christians. Fatima Al-Dahar also referred to another quote where Coulter said Muslims should use magic carpets as an alternate mode of transportation.
I want to know about this wife as well. I don't care if she knew about this. She ought to be in prison for wearing a hijab. As for catching Osama, it's irrelevant. Things are going swimmingly in Afghanistan. I mean, he's like a fading movie swimmingly now.
Things in Afghanistan are going horribly, but this is interesting. Osama bin Laden is irrelevant. The person, the mastermind behind the Al-Qaeda attacks on the United States is completely irrelevant. Is that what you're saying?
Right. It was handed to Bill Clinton twice.
Oh, it's Bill Clinton's
Bill Clinton
fault.
said no.
Yeah, because I think that actually George Bush was president in 2001.
I know you're trying to imitate Alan Combs, but at some point he does let me answer.
Let's go. Michael, why don't we talk about the things that the Democrats actually are doing about the fact that all of the Republicans have voted against all the things that Democrats have brought up, like increasing funding for border security, increasing funding for port security, increasing funding for airline security. I mean, isn't that true, Michael?
Real homeland security stuff.
There's a growing body of evidence that radiation in excess of what the government's says are the minimum amounts you should be exposed to are actually good for you and reduce cases of cancer. The New York Times science section, for example, a few years ago reported on a study from Canada where all these women who had had tuberculosis got an inordinate number of chest x-rays. Well, their breast cancer rate was lower than the general population. There were apartments put up in Taiwan in 1993 that accidentally contained an inordinate amount of cobalt-60, a radioactive substance. After 16 years, 10,000 occupants of these buildings being hit with 5 times what the government says is the minimum amount you should be hit with. The number of cancer cases they had, there were about 10,000 occupants, was only 5 cases. Now, for the general population in that same age group, a group of 10,000 Taiwanese should have gotten about 170 cases of cancer.
So why, if those things have happened, why isn't the established medical organizations or establishment saying that, you know, some kind of radiation can ward off infections? Why aren't they saying?
Well, they are. They're not getting a lot of media attention for it. This guy, the coolest cat in my column is this Bernard Cohen at the University of Pittsburgh. He did a study of 90% of the counties in the U.S., and he looked at levels of radon, radioactive substance from the earth, and lung cancer rates. And they were inversely related so dramatically that it couldn't be explained by
some
cigarette
radiation
smoking.
in the body acts as an agent to ward off cancer.
That's what many scientists
okay.
believe. As the New York Times science section has reported, it doesn't get press because...
So by your account, we should all be heading for the nuclear reactor leaking and kind of sunbathing out there in front of... you know, come on.
Well, interestingly, it's called hormesis, that's how it appears to be pronounced, I've only read about it, the beneficial effects of radiation. At a conference on hormesis at the University of Massachusetts a few years ago, the scientists come and talk about the beneficial effects of radiation. Then they went to a spa in Boulder, Montana, where people pay to go 85 feet into the ground, into a mine, in order to be exposed to excessive levels of radiation because they think it's good for you.
But I want the audience to be very cautious about all this. It's all theoretical at this point.
But the point is that the media will not report this.
Of course not.
Because A, it's not sensationalistic to say, oh, humans are going to have 2 heads, and B, it's an anti-nuclear power
But I don't know if it would
thing.
be responsible at this point to make that a hard news thing. It's okay to kick it around like we are.
No, I think you should have some of these physicists on.
Well,
look, the one you had on last night was pretty copacetic about what's happening in Japan.
Listen to my point. You have to be responsible in a sense that the prevailing wisdom is there is a level of radiation that's going to hurt you and perhaps kill you. All you have to do is look at what happened here in New York City on 9/11. The people exposed just to the debris coming from the collapsed towers are having a myriad of health problems, all right? Health problems all day long. And there's a variety of them. So you have to err on the side of caution. What you say may be true. There may be some doses of radiation that in a human body can ward off infection. But in something like this, you have to get the folks out of there.
Okay, but
and you have to report you have to report worst case scenario.
But what you just described is not true. You say that what the scientific community says is that at some level radiation is bad for you. No, that is not what at least the news is reporting.
Well, all you have
they
to look
say
is,
the tiniest drop of radiation is dangerous, and the point is that is absolutely not
Some
true.
radiation will kill you, as we saw in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, when people were incinerated.
The counter-argument among the scientists, not among the journalists, among the scientists is there could be other complicating factors. Okay. Perhaps we're not counting correlations and not causations. It is not, this effect does not exist.
All right. Provocative as usual, Ann. Thank you very much.
Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien mission. Everything is amazing.